Hello and welcome to another live episode of the Leveraging AI podcast, the podcast that shares practical, ethical ways to leverage AI to improve efficiency, grow your business, and advance your career. This is Isar Mektis, your host, and I've got an incredibly fascinating and exciting episode for you today. Those of you who've been following the podcast know that we've been talking a lot about MCPs. Now, those of you who are not familiar with what MCP is, what happened is if you think about the whole world of AI agents, it started with an idea that allows you to then connect different tools and systems into an agent that can help you work through different systems and processes in your company. The problem was that every single company, let's take Salesforce as an example. I don't know how many millions of companies in the world use Salesforce, but every single one of them, if they wanted to connect their Salesforce into their AI tools, whether it's a chatbot or an agent, needed to create their own integration. That's a pain in the behind, and it is very costly, especially if you add the amount of time that every single company has to do this. Well, a few months ago, earlier this year, Anthropic came up with a standard protocol on how to do this. And the idea is you can create one integration for Salesforce that is going to be an MCP server that basically on one end connects to Salesforce as a whole, any Salesforce. And on the other hand, you can connect it very easily in matter of minutes, and if you're really good, seconds, into your AI universe. And now your AI universe can talk to your Salesforce without having a team of 5 developers work for 6 months in order to create this integration. This is magical. Now, what happened because they made this open source, many companies on the planet started creating MCP servers for their tools, basically exposing their tools, their data, their information, their capabilities to your AI tools that you're using, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or an agent that you're building. And so this took the world by a storm. Now, to be fair, most common people, myself included, did not use MCPs at all, even though we heard the hype, but it sounds really complicated. How do I connect to this? And then I saw a post on LinkedIn by Kate Shevchenko. Kate is the COO of a company that's called Data for SEO, and they provide a really amazing and very cost-effective tool that actually competes with the big tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs, but with a much better structure. And they created their own MCP server, and her demo showed how to connect Claude to their MCP server in a minute. I'm like, okay, now I'm curious. I want to know how to do this. How can you take a whole universe of data, knowledge, and capabilities, in this particular case in SEO, and connect it to Claude that I can now query any SEO question that I want just in a Claude chat? And so I invited her over. And so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about what is an MCP, what are the benefits of having an MCP server for your company and for your business, but we're going to dive into how to actually connect an MCP server, in this particular case, their MCP server, to both Claude and ChatGPT, whichever one you're using, in just a matter of minutes. I can tell you that once I followed the process, after Kate showed me how simple it is to do, I started creating other MCP servers and connecting them like Slack and different data sources that I have and CRM and things like that. Like, oh my God, this is like an endless universe of capabilities. So I'm very excited to welcome Kate to the show. Kate, welcome to Leveraging AI.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this introduction. And I agree on everything that you're saying about MCP, how huge it is right now. And I'm really excited to be here and share our experience of a company which created MCP and how it's going on right now. So spoiler alert, it's like a huge hype right now because you noticed me because of my post on LinkedIn. And we didn't expect such a load of people there because we knew that the MCP is a huge thing right now. But we didn't expect that such a lot of people, as Data for SEO is quite a technical product because we sell data through APIs. We're a B2B business mostly. That's why we don't have like a huge attention as we could because we only know among SEO tools and SEO agencies or marketing agencies, but such things like no-code integrations or MCP servers make us visible. We are pretty excited about it. When I started working at Data First, it was really difficult to get started because I'm not techie at all. But right now, I believe it's much easier right now to get started with such things, with APIs, because you have make.com, NA10, you have MCP servers, which you connect to Claude or ChatGPT and so on. So really cool thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. So going back to what you just said and what I said before, both Kate and I are not technical people. Like, we understand technology, but we're not developers. We don't have any engineering degrees. I've never written a line of code in my entire life. I don't know how to read code. I can use a lot of AI tools to do a lot of coding tasks, but I can't debug when it's getting wrong. I'm just telling it what went wrong, and then it will go and fix it. But what you will see in today's episode is that it's actually very, very basic. Like, even if you're afraid of the AI writing its own code, it's literally less than a minute, and you can be connected to this amazing SEO tool. And like I said, with a similar effort, connected to any tool that has MCP server today, which right now it's most major software companies already have MCP solutions that you can connect to and then bring them into your AI universe. Before we get started and dive into exactly how to do this and what are the benefits, I want to thank everybody who's joining us live, whether you are joining us on the Zoom call or whether you're joining us on LinkedIn. Please go introduce yourself right where you are, where are you joining from, what are your interests in this? Are you already connected to MCP servers? What are you trying to get out of this episode? Because that's going to help us a lot in kind of like pushing the call into the relevant direction. As for one last thing, as you all know, we're running the AI business transformation course. We just opened another cohort. So the May cohort is running right now. We do teach these courses all the time, at least once a month, but most of the courses are pre-sold to specific organizations and businesses. So the next public cohort is going to be in the second week of August. And if you want to join the course, then there's going to be a link in the chat and the link in the show notes if you're listening to this after the fact. Every one of these courses is growing. So this particular one has like 25 people. I assume we're going to have about 30. And I don't think we're going to let more than 30 in because it's starting to get too many. So if you want to join the course, you might as well join early and make sure you have a seat. But with that, I'll give the stage and the microphone back to Kate. And Kate, let's talk about the magic of MCPs. Let's start with really, what is it exactly? So people have a better understanding than my 2 seconds of introduction in the beginning. And then we're going to dive into how to actually connect to your MCP.
Yeah, I can see some questions already. Yeah, MCP is the cool thing that makes the life easier when it comes to connecting some data to AI agents. So we provide API solution. That's why I would stick to APIs more. MCP helps AI agent to understand APIs better, to process their data better, and send a correct request to API. Of course, you can be a developer and develop this connection by yourself. You need to explain to AI agent how API works, which data can be sent there, which response we can get, and so on. It can be done for sure, but it would consume some time, much time, I would say. And it's not always that you send the right API request through the system that you create, because the AI agent would send some random field, random parameters to API, which even do not exist because of a prompt which is sent by user to this AI agent. That's why it's a really complex thing. And if you need to connect API of one company and another and the third one, so it's much time you need to spend, and every API is different structure and so on. It becomes a mess. If a company which provides APIs and they also have MCP supported, you just need to connect these MCPs. It would take maybe an hour for you to figure out how to connect everything and from different companies, but they have the similar structure. All of them have the similar protocol. MCP is a protocol. Your AI agent becomes smarter, it works better, it works faster, and it doesn't make mistakes because they know how to send the right request to these particular APIs. The end user would see consistent and correct data.
Awesome. Great explanation. Again, for those of you who are not technical at all and don't know what APIs are, so API is basically the language in which one software can talk to another software from a server to server perspective. And it's just a list of it's a very long list usually of functions and how to call them and what parameters they need in order to actually work. And as Kate mentioned, yes, every API usually has a lot of documentation. You can go through documentation and write a lot of code to do this. But what MCP, the magic of MCP, is it's basically a standard dictionary. And what that basically means is, think about that you can speak in English And on the other side, it will speak in whatever language is required in order to make the communication with a specific software that you're talking to. And that's the beauty of this. And that's why the implementation became from, I need a team of 3 people to work for 2 weeks to create this connection, to a non-technical person like me or like Kate can do this in a minute or 2. And because everything behind the scenes is already predefined. So let's talk, before we dive into the actual implementation and how to do this in Claude and how to do this in ChatGPT, let's talk for a minute on your software, because I want people to understand, what does MCP enable, right? So I think we can use your software as an example, and then I can potentially generalize it to other capabilities. But let's talk about what your tool provides regardless of MCP, and then why does MCP make it a lot easier to access?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we provide SEO and marketing data. For example, we provide ranking data, keyword research, keyword overview, backlinks overview, domain overviews, and so many stuff which you can see in every SEO tool. I bet that once in a life you used some of SEO tools or marketing tools. So such companies as ours are behind such tools. So we work with SEO tools and we collect data for them. They connect to us through APIs. So they send requests to us. For example, you're in a tool, type in, I want to get keyword suggestions for my keyword for jeans, I don't know. So the SEO tool sends a live request to us to data for SEO. We go to our huge database of keywords, we process this request, and we send the requested data in JSON format, keywords, and each keyword would search volume, CPC, keyword difficulty, and many, many other data. So that's it.
So again, just to explain to people, this is not a tool you probably used, but you probably used other tools if you've done any SEO work that actually uses their data behind the scenes. And now, because of MCP, any person can now connect to
Yeah,
that data and do
any
the same
person
queries,
can
right?
connect, yes, without any technical knowledge. Now they don't need to create a tool and connect its API to it. So now you can do some simple tasks in such tools like Claude, ChatGPT, and so on. You can also connect it to NA10, for example, and develop your AI agent greatly, and maybe send data to your Airtable, for example, Google Studio, and many other things that you can imagine. Yes, you can be very creative with it because great for sure. They sharing much data. They give you hints, suggestions of what to do for you to be better for Google, to be ranked for your keywords. But sometimes they don't have functionality which you're looking for specifically for your specific use case. That's why such people go to API providers like us. They can build anything that they want. And right now, you don't need even to be techie to do it. You can go to no-code tool or MCP servers.
Amazing. I'll generalize this for 1 second, and then we're going to dive in and you're going to show us how to actually do this in Claude. And then we're going to do the same thing in ChatGPT. So you can prepare whatever you want to prepare on your side to demo. But to generalize this, what MCPs enable you to do is to get access to the backend, the data, the knowledge, the capabilities that software companies provide, and query them in your universe connected to your tools, your data, your needs, and so on. So what Kate mentioned, tools like NA10 or Make and so on, it means you can, without writing a line of code, create a tool that will, now let's generalize it and not use SEO, and grab data from your CRM, from your SharePoint, and from your Slack channel, because you're going to connect it to 3 different MCP servers, and then ask any question you want about any project, and it will give you the information combined from these 3 sources, because it knows how to query each and every one of these sources, and each and every one of these integrations is going to take you a few minutes to create. If you're really good, probably is less than that. So it's capabilities we didn't have before, again, unless you had a huge development team. And now literally every individual, forget about a company, can now do this without a crazy amount of effort, definitely an effort that justifies the benefit that you're going to get out of that. So with that in mind, Kate, let's show people how to actually connect, how simple it is to actually connect an MCP server to Claude, and then we're going to do ChatGPT as well. For those of you, by the way, who are driving or on the treadmill or walking your dog because you're listening to the podcast and not watching this live, first of all, join us live. We do this every week at noon, and you'll be able to actually see and ask questions that you have. By the way, just to tell you how crazy it is right now, we have people from Australia, which is really late, I think, at night right now in Australia. Kudos for Catherine from joining us from Australia, Adam from New York, and people from all over the world are here. So you can come and join us every Thursday, and then you'll be able to ask your own questions. But we're also going to explain everything that's on the screen so you can understand what we're doing.
I can imagine because it's evening for me here in Ukraine. So it's
Yeah.
crazy what time in Australia. So thank you for joining everybody. Yes, for starters, you would need to download the Claude desktop, and also you would need a paid plan because they don't allow anything to configure additionally. If you have a free plan, it's obvious, but I need to mention this. Also, you need to install the Node.js. You just need to install it and that's it. Nothing else should be done. You don't need to call terminal, for example. You just need to install it and that's it.
And by the way, it's as simple as going to their website, clicking on download for your relevant operating system, whether you're Mac on this, clicking install, and you're done. Like there's no technical work to do there. And it's free. Like it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, so sharing a link to the chat, you can download and try in the parallel as I'm doing it. Yeah, we have everything that we need and we can start connecting MCP to Claude already. Isar, can you see my Claude, right?
Yeah.
Everything is cool.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Oh, all right, we need to go to settings of Claude. Oh my God, my computer is tired in the evening. You need to go to developer and you need to click on this button, edit config.
So for those of you not seeing, when you're going to the settings in Claude, you have two options. One is like the basic ones, and then there's developer ones. And then in there, there's just, if you click on the developer, there's only one button to edit the config file, which literally just takes you to your internal browser to find the config file. And then you can edit it with whatever text tool you have installed on your computer, whether it's Mac or Microsoft. Literally any text note editor will do the trick.
Yeah, we'll open this config and we just need to copy paste one tricky config that will do all the work. So yeah, I send it to you with email.
Yeah, and we will share that.
We need to edit this config with this one. So here you can see data for SEO username and data for SEO password. I already pasted Izar's username and password, but you can get it after register at data for SEO. You get free funds when you register. You don't need to worry about it, so you can test it for free. You can use also this credential as well. They are free. They have I added some funds to it. So feel free to use it, and I will share it in the chat as well. So you just can copy and paste it. And we just need to save this theme. We go back to Claude and we need to quit it. And we need to open it again.
So before we jump back to Claude, let me mention what we actually did. So we opened the config file, we copied and pasted code that we don't know what it does. And the only thing we had to add in there is in the place where it asks for the username and the key, basically the password, we add in the username and the password that you're going to get if you sign up to their tool. It's a very similar process when you connect to any other MCP. Like I said, I already connected to Slack. So in Slack, you create a new tool in Slack and it's going to give you your username and it's going to give you your unique key to use. So these are the only parameters you need to change. Otherwise, the code is exactly the same piece of config, which is like 5 lines. Like it's nothing crazy that you can copy and paste and just add in there. And then you'll be able to connect to multiple different tools.
Yeah, right. So if you reopen your Claude, here you can see that data for SEO is installed already. So you have 47 endpoints connected right away in just 1 minute.
And for, again, just one thing to understand what endpoints are. So in Claude, you have these little toggle buttons icon within the Chrome, within the chat box. If you click on that, it shows you what you can connect to. So are you connected to web search? Are you connected to Google Drive? And underneath that, it just add another option, which is data for SEO. And what endpoints are is basically functions. So there's 47, you said, 47 different functions that you can
Yeah.
call, whether it's to find keywords in a specific page, find keywords in another people's page, do an SEO analysis. Who are the top ranking websites for whatever, like 47 different SEO related questions. And it's a similar thing with other tools. It's just going to bring different functions that you can call. Now, you don't need to know the names for these functions because it's an AI chat. You can just ask in simple English. So let's do a quick demo of what you can do now that we are connected.
Yeah, for example, you can get a list of keywords for which your website ranks for. You can get any number. For example, we can use just our website, like return top 20 ranked keywords for data for ACR.com.
Simple prompt in English, and that's going to call the MCP server because it understands that now it has that tool connected to it, which is brilliant, right? We don't need to actually tell it to go and use that tool. Just because it's connected, it understands that that's where it needs to go.
Yeah, it's why Claude is cool is that you can see which function is calling a data for SEO, and you can see its request, actual request that it makes, and the response as well. So it's a technical thing which regular SEO tool would use when they want to connect APIs. But as a regular user, you don't need it. So here that this, you can see top 20 ranked keywords for my website. For each one, I get position and the page. Also get search volume difficulty, and also I get traffic value for my page, which is ranked for. So yeah, that's it. We can also get.
Just to explain what we just did, in copying and pasting one piece of code that is like less than 10 rows long into the config file of Claude, which again sounds technical, but it's not. It's literally copying and pasting and getting the username and password from data for SEO on their website as you register. You can now ask any SEO question about any website or web page and get actual data that a lot of other companies are using in the world straight into Claude while asking simple questions in English. And as I mentioned, if you broaden that, if you look at this from the 30,000 foot view, the same thing is for any tool you use out there, as long as it has MCP support. If it doesn't, it probably will sometime in the next few months because everybody will. There's a question in the chat. Is this available on the free version of Claude? And the answer is no. You need a paid version of Claude in order to do this. I believe that you can create custom GPTs in the free version of ChatGPT. So maybe that's a workaround if you don't want to be paying for any of these tools.
Yeah, but investing in Claude is a great thing to do, as it's just a simple prompt that you can see, but you can ask to analyze your website with our APIs and give you a strategy for your SEO work. So many possibilities which paid plan of Claude can do, which is not possible on the free version.
Yeah. And I just did this, by the way, for my website, and it's incredible the amount of insights and the level of details it go to, from which H tags exist and don't exist on specific pages, which tags I should remove or add, depending if they're duplicate or they're missing. How am I doing on the percentage of text versus the overall code of the page? Like lots and lots of really useful SEO stuff that most people, unless you're an SEO person, doesn't even know to look for. And with one simple request and dropping in my link, I got a very detailed analysis that I would have paid a lot of money to a company to do for me. And so it's really amazing.
Yeah, and you wanted to see it in action in ChatGPT as well, right?
Yeah, so let's do the ChatGPT integration. Over there, it's even easier. So if this wasn't easy enough, and maybe you don't have an integration to, maybe you don't have a paid version of Claude, then you can do this in ChatGPT as well. So really, let's dive into ChatGPT. So again, for those of you who are listening, we're now opening ChatGPT, and I will let Kate walk us from here.
Oh, cool. So yeah, we need to go to ChatGPT, and if I'm not mistaken, it also requires paid plan to do these GPTs, but you need to check for sure. We go to GPTs and we need to create a new one. We go here. We just name it as we want, demo, for example. And we create the new action. We need to specify our API login and password, which we have a data for SEO. So we choose API key here and specify our password and login and password here. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Sharing in the chat as well, you can use this one. It would work. Then we go to this URL. We have this GitHub page sharing in the chat as well. You just need to copy these actions and paste here. And we already can see some available actions. We just hit test to see if it's okay, if our credentials are fine. We click confirm. Yeah, we can see that it's working. Yeah, the default data is shown. We click create only for me, and it's ready. So we can go and ask some questions with the ChatGPT to get some SEO insights.
So again, to explain the slightly different approach here, instead of actually creating an MCP connection, we are creating an MCP connection, but we're creating it as part of a portion of a custom GPT that most people don't use. So those of you who don't know what custom GPTs are, you should. These are the best magic that was provided to business people ever, probably. But it's a tool within ChatGPT that allows you to create these custom automations that can run again and again and again. And one of the functions, and you just give it a name and you give it instructions in English, but there's a bottom section to all of those that allows you to connect it to different API and external tools. And really, what Kate showed us now is that there's a standard code. Again, don't need to understand that you can copy and paste into that segment to basically create a custom GPT that in the backend connect to their MCP server and can do everything that we showed on Claude before. It just runs as a custom GPT within ChatGPT. I did check, and you are right, and I was wrong. You cannot create custom GPTs with a free license.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you can use custom GPTs with a free license. So if you have one person in your company that has a paid license, they can create it for you, and then you'll be able to use them moving forward.
Thank
Another
you.
way to
And
do
I
this.
also received a message from our developer who made this all in live. Shout out to Vlad for it. And he said that it's possible to use this in Claude in free version, but you need to specify and get less endpoints because it's limited to the number of tokens they can process. So you just
Got
need
it.
to do it from your end and just maybe collect 2 or 3 endpoints and you can go and test it.
Amazing.
All right, so yeah, I just made a random check of this page for SEO on page health. It shows also the request, and we can see some statistic on it, something that we need to improve, and so on. So you can see it. So we can go further and communicate with chat. For example, we can ask to suggest which keywords we want to target for this page, which is the possibility to get in the top 10 of Google, which is search volume, and so on.
Just to say how incredible this is, think about having a custom GPT or a conversation in Claude that will allow you to dump in your competitor's website, get exactly what they're ranking for, ask for suggestions on what keywords you should try to go for with long tail keywords, and then potentially get recommendations of what content to write in the same chat. Because now it's in Claude, right? Claude is not just talking to their MCP server. It understands the concept and the context. It can look at your website and it can suggest topics that you can write for. And it can also help you write on these topics because now in connection to the MCP server of data for SEO, it can actually go and check what it's writing against what is acceptable, what will actually help you rank and so on. So you can close several different loops all within this one chat because you've connected this MCP server. And like I said, this is just one example. Almost every tool that you're using out there, whether it's your SharePoint or your email platform or your CRM or your ERP or your inventory management tool, like whatever it is that you're doing, you can connect the MCP server to a chat or an agent environment. And then with that, have access to that entire universe of data. Like I said, I already connected Slack and I was blown away with how cool it is. Like you can literally now query what are the most important things that I was requested to do across these 5 workspaces and 67 channels, and it will give you a summary. And it's just something that just wasn't available before. And now it's available after 5 minutes of work within any tool that I want. I see that you did another query. I will let you walk us through that as well.
Yeah, so I requested some page data for my page. Also wanted to check which keyword suggestion can I get for this page. Maybe I should target them. ChatGPT requested data for SEO for keywords, and it also has its topics. It's not from data for SEO, so it's the job from ChatGPT actually. Yeah, we can see some keywords, and I also asked to convert it into a table so we can copy it and go further work with all this stuff.
Amazing. There's a question that is unrelated to this completely, but you may have an answer. And I know that people are very curious about this. Are you, as a company, already started doing research and understanding of the new universe, whatever it is going to be called, whether it's GEO, GAIO, whatever it is, like general AI, generative AI, or whatever the new SEO is going to be called, once it's going to come from agent traffic and chat traffic? Do you have any insight into that universe already, or it's not something you even started exploring yet?
So yeah, we started working on it and exploring how we can work with Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT, what data can be used for a company to be improved and be shown on this system for sure. It's a great thing and a great field in exploring and researching. We are building MVP right now, and we hope to present it in maybe 3 weeks or something. So yeah, we are working on it for sure. The problem is that nobody understands which data is needed actually, because it's all new to us. That's why we need to spend much time on researching. We had some calls with SEO experts and so on, with big people on the market, but nobody knows what to do and which data they need. So we are preparing MVP, which we think could be useful, and we want to gather some feedback on it and go and improve based on feedbacks and release it for everyone.
Awesome. Kate, this was really eye-opening, really important to so many people. I think this unlocks magical capabilities that are taking the world of AI chats and AI agents for sure into a whole different universe of capabilities, because you can now connect them to all the tools that you want to connect them to in just a matter of minutes, assuming they have MCP support. And like I said, all the big tools already do, or they will have MCP support. And sometimes there's workarounds that allow you to do it. So as an example, the Slack thing, it's not really an MCP server, but you can connect to a Slack tool that you can build within the Slack in a matter of minutes. And the way I did this, I literally just asked Claude to explain to me how to do that. And it just gave me the instructions and I made it work. Kate, if people want to know more about you, your company, how to connect with you, how to work with your business, follow you, learn from you, what are the best ways to do that?
I left my email. Also, you can go to my LinkedIn. I work with email every day. So if you need some instructions or anything, or you have questions, you can go there. And also we have customer support, very professional. So if you need like instant response at any time of the day, they always be there to help you out.
Awesome. Kate, thank you so much. Again, this is an exceptional episode. Again, those of you who are listening, you have to experiment with this. The reason I really wanted to do this episode is to show you how easy it is to connect MCPs to stuff and to unlock for you a whole different universe of AI capabilities that you maybe did not know that exist. Go play with this. Even just this, just literally go and do what we just did with data for SEO, connect their MCP, play with it to understand what it can do. If you're like me, that's going to drive you to now not sleep the next 2 nights to figure out what other MCPs you can connect to and try to connect them so you can do stuff with it. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us live, both on LinkedIn and on the Zoom. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And obviously, thank you so much, Kate. This was absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much and have a great day, everyone. See you around.